Is it possible to beat Super Mario 64 without touching any enemies? I attempted a full playthrough of the game and here are the rules of the challenge. Number 1, I can't touch any enemies except for Bowser himself because otherwise the challenge would be impossible. Number 2, I can't interact with any NPCs, so those are any non-playable characters in the game such as Mips the Rabbit, Koopa the Quick, and characters like that. Number 3, no glitches. And if I break any of these rules at any point during the run, I'll exit the level and jump back in to retry the star. So with that out of the way, here's the run.
Dear Mario, please come to the castle. I have baked a cake for you. Yours truly, Princess Toadstool. Peach.
Normally, when players make their way to the bridge at the castle, Lakitu attempts to talk to you to let you know what the camera controls are. And speedrunners tend to go for a skip on the bridge where you long jump or jump dive, and you just hit the very edge of the bridge here and make it over without talking to Lakitu. It's a bit of a grey area whether that's considered a glitch or not, so for the purposes of this challenge I decided to restrict myself to not being able to use either of these two methods of approach. As it turns out, if you make your way over to the right side of the castle with a very carefully and precisely timed triple jump, Mario can actually make his way all the way onto the castle roof, which is something you might not expect to be able to do this early in the game. I tried to jump past the bridge, but I narrowly grabbed the edge and ended up falling into the water. I made my way back around and to the top of the castle roof again to re-attempt this trick, and on the second try I was able to manage to get to the door, all without talking to Lakitu. We haven't even entered the castle yet, and this challenge has already proven to be very difficult. Upon entering the castle, we don't have too many options available to us yet. Because it takes at least one star to open another stage, currently we are only able to access Bob-Omb Battlefield. Upon entering Bob-Omb Battlefield, we aren't left with too many options as for which stars we're actually able to collect. For most casual playthroughs, people will end up going all the way to the top of the spiraling mountain to the left side of the stage where you fight King Bob-Omb. However, due to the nature of our challenge, we are unable to talk to any NPCs, so that means the King Bob-Omb star is off the table. We are not going to be able to get that star. Looking at it from another angle, speedrunners who play this level tend to go for the Chain Chomp star first, which we also can't collect for two reasons. One, we can't do it in the way that speedrunners do the star, because they incorporate a glitch that allows them to re-grab the inflated Bob-Omb as it's exploding, to then clip through the gate to grab the star. We can't do this star the intended way either, because that requires technically interacting with the Chain Chomp in some sort of way, and I've decided that for this challenge, this is not a star that we're going to be able to do. With most of the stars in this stage completely unreachable, I ended up thinking for a little while about which star would be even possible to get at this point in the game, and I decided to try to get to the floating island with a star in a box that if we could somehow reach, would be an easy star to grab. There's a ledge up here near the Bob-Omb King that looks like it just might be close enough to make a jump to the island possible. So I spent a little bit of time lining Mario up, and after a couple of unsuccessful attempts to long jump across the gap, I just barely managed to make one connect with the ground and long jump all the way over to the island, then being able to grab the star in the box. Just over 5 minutes in, we are able to grab our very first star of this challenge, and my goodness, what a challenge it's been so far. With our first star finally collected, this opens us up to some more possibilities in the castle. Namely, we can enter the Peach's Secret Slide, where I go ahead and collect 2 stars very quickly, and then I head over to Whomp's Fortress, our second stage of the challenge, in hopes of collecting a few more stars. Whomp's Fortress notably has quite a few stars that require interacting with or touching enemies in order to acquire them. Specifically fighting the Whomp King to acquire a star, and also riding the owl that's hidden in this tree all the way to the cage in the sky to collect another star. While we may be unable to acquire the Whomp King star, it is still possible to acquire the owl star without actually using the owl at all. With a very precisely timed triple jump to wall kick on the wall of the cage, you can navigate Mario just barely in the air into the cage and collect the star without ever having to need to touch the owl at all. I take a moment to think, after collecting the star, to think about our options going forward, and I decide that we can collect the red coin star next. The red coin star is not too big of a problem, aside from one red coin that happens to spawn right above this blue thwomp. Usually you're meant to just jump on the thwomp and ride it up to the top to collect the red coin. However, it is still possible just to do a triple jump dive to collect the coin in the air without having to need to touch the thwomp at all. After collecting my 5th star, I decide to head over to the aquarium and Jolly Roger Bay, which is hidden behind the 3-star door on the rightmost side of the castle lobby. Collecting the 6th star from the aquarium goes absolutely swimmingly with no issues whatsoever, and we head into Jolly Roger Bay. Right off the bat, it's important to note that most of the stage is going to be inaccessible to us. In order for you to progress throughout this level, you have to collect the 1st star of the stage, which requires swimming by this eel hidden in this ship that's sunken at the bottom of the sea in order to access this star and also unlock the rest of the level. However, we are going to be unable to do that because that requires interacting with the eel, and so that is cut off to us. With 7 stars collected, I head over to CCM, where we should be able to collect quite a few more stars since there are a lot of opportunities to collect stars in this stage without having to interact with too many NPCs. There are 3 stars in this stage that we will be unable to collect, those being the star where we race the penguin to the bottom of the slide, the baby penguin delivery star, and the snowman's head star. I went ahead and collected the 100 coin star, collecting as many coins as I can on this slide, leading me to collect the 100 coin star at the bottom of the slope here, with just enough room to collect the star. Then I exited the slide and collected the slide star as well. After that, I went ahead and very quickly yoinked the wall kicks will work star with some very precisely timed jumps. Definitely some unnecessarily risky movement here, but it was very cool and very fast, so I decided to go for it. That just leaves our final star that we're able to collect in this stage, the red coin star. And this is also a very fun star to collect, to run around the stage, collect all these coins. Very easy to fall everywhere, but I went for a pretty risky route. And with that completed, we now have 11 stars, which means that we have a few other places open to us now. I decide to head to Bowser in the Dark World first and collect the red coins in this stage as well. I've played a lot of Super Mario 64 throughout my life, and this is one of my all-time favorite stars in the entire game. I always love completing this stage. And with the red coin star collected, we can head over onto Bowser and fight the only enemy we're allowed to touch in this game. Upon finishing the fight, I head to the Whomp Cap stage, which you can access by looking up in the castle lobby at this cloud, which unlocks after collecting 10 stars in the game. After collecting the 13th star, I briefly thought about heading to Big Boo's Haunt, which is a stage located at the back of the castle courtyard. However, I was immediately confronted by an unfortunate realization. Big Boo's Haunt is completely inaccessible because we have to fight a Boo to even enter the stage. So that means all 7 stars that we could possibly collect from this stage are completely inaccessible to us. In my dismay, I decide to instead head to Bob-Omb Battlefield to collect some of the stars that are now accessible to us with the use of a Whomp Cap. I head into the level and make my way to the floating island. From here, I try to collect the secrets that are located within the coin rings above ground. However, I quickly realize that without the use of the cannon, Mario actually doesn't have enough height to collect all of these secrets, and so I don't think I'll be able to collect any more stars in this level just yet. At this point, I'm starting to feel a little claustrophobic, with not too many options available to Mario. We've exhausted a lot of stars that we can collect in the lobby already, but I remembered that having just fought Bowser, we now have access to the basement, and quite a few more levels, so I head downstairs to have a look at what we've got. I headed straight into Shifting Sandland, and started off the level by completing a very quick jump to get to the top of the pyramid to collect the star. I head back inside to the rightmost side of the level to open up this box to collect a Koopa shell, which will allow me to move around the course much quicker. I use the shell to quickly transport Mario to the tops of all 4 of these pillars around the level. This then allows me to enter the pyramid because, for whatever reason, touching all 4 of these pillars makes the top of the pyramid float and spin and blow up. I'm not sure why this happens. but very cool. I see a star immediately as we begin descending into the pyramid, so I long jump straight away to get it. I'll take a quick moment now to mention that since we've collected 15 stars overall, Mips the rabbit will spawn in the basement. Mips is an NPC that, if caught, will give you a star. However, since we are not allowed to touch or interact with any NPCs, we will not be able to collect either of the 2 Mip stars that spawn throughout this game. Moving along, back into Shifting Sandland I go. I get the Koopa Shell again, and touch the tops of the 4 pillars to once again blow the top off the pyramid, and I head down inside. Once inside, Mario begins descending, and I jump out of the elevator immediately again. I touch the few spots within the pyramid that are considered secrets, as they spawn a star within. After narrowly avoiding a fall and collecting our 16th star, I head back inside to Shifting Sandland to once again collect another star. This time around, we'll be going for the red coin star, which is an interesting star that's located by collecting all the red coins scattered around the level, and since we have access to the wing cap, this will make this trip a little faster. Notably, in this stage, we are unable to collect 3 of the stars as they require interacting with NPCs or enemies, those of which are the 100 coin star, which requires defeating a lot of enemies that drop blue coins, which there aren't enough coins to avoid doing this. The star carried by the bird, called Talon I believe, which we are unable to collect because it requires touching the bird itself, and of course the boss battle inside of the pyramid where you fight the 2 giant stone hands. So with those out of the way, we head to Lethal Lava Land. I start off the stage with some immediate slick movement to collect the red coin star, and since we have access to the wing cap now, I collect another star very quickly. It's important to note now as well that while we still have another stage ahead of us, we have to collect at least 30 stars in order to be able to progress to the next part of the game. The stage known as Dar Docks is located behind a 30-star door, and that's what's going on in my mind at the moment. I'm just trying to make sure that we have enough stars around in the castle to be able to actually make it to that level. For the next 2 stars, I decided to collect both of the stars that are located within the volcano, the first of which being the star located at the top of this lava waterfall, and the second of which is located at the top of this elevator. I then headed over to a part of the level at the very beginning where I expected there to be a Koopa shell stuck inside a box. However, I noticed it wasn't there. The reason for this is, in order to spawn this box, you have to complete the first few stars in this level. However, we are unable to do that because the first star in this level requires us to defeat a bully, which breaks our fighting enemies rule. As well as that, there's another stage where we have to fight another lot of bullies, which also goes against our rule. After this revelation, I decide to head into Hazy Maze Cave, the next level that we have open here in the basement. It's also worth noting that nearby the entrance to the level, there is a toad spawned that can give you a star if it's talked to. However, because of our rules about not talking to NPCs, we will not be able to collect the star from the toad nearby the level entrance. Upon entering Hazy Maze Cave, I'm able to collect a few stars quite quickly, those being the Amazing Emergency Exit star, the Watch for Rolling Rocks star, and Navigating the Toxic Maze star. I decided that going for the Swimming Beast in the cavern or the Cavern of the Metal Cap stars is probably not going to be possible since we're not allowed to interact with Dory, the monster lurking beneath us in this playthrough, and so I head instead for the Elevate for Edrate Coins star instead. To make the star as challenging as possible, I decided to opt out of using the moving platform with arrows that you're usually meant to use to collect all the 8 red coins, and I instead opted to use elevators and Mario's basic moveset to jump around and collect all the 8 red coins. At this point, I have 25 stars exiting Hazy Maze Cave. We are now 5 stars away from being able to access Dar Docks and the next section of the game. I decide to head from here to go collect the Vanish Cap star, as well as the secret star in that stage. I end up having a little bit of trouble in this stage. I fall trying to collect the second last red coin, and so I have to head back inside and try again. Finally, on the 4th attempt of this level, I'm able to collect the secret star and the Vanish Cap switch. After this point, I spend a little bit of time thinking. We have 4 stars left we need to collect before we can progress any further into the game, so I search my mind for possible areas where we could collect more stars. The one place that stands out is potentially Bob-Omb Battlefield. We still have a few stars that we have yet to explore there, even though a couple are cut off, so I decide to head back into that stage. One important thing to note before we head back into Bob-Omb Battlefield is the topic of Bob-Ombs. So I mentioned earlier that one of the rules was to not interact with or touch enemies throughout the game. An important mechanic of Bob-Ombs that we need to talk about for the purposes of this challenge is that Bob-Ombs will ignite and start to follow you once you enter their range of vision. For most other enemies that start to follow you, this isn't really a big issue as we can simply run away and have no impact on the enemy whatsoever. However, with Bob-Ombs, as soon as they see you and they ignite, they will eventually explode, which means that Mario will have affected the state of the level after having been seen by a Bob-Omb. What this means is that as we progress through Bob-Omb Battlefield, we're gonna have to avoid the gaze of any Bob-Ombs going forward to make sure we don't ignite any of them as we progress through the level. I decided to try my hand at potentially collecting 100 coins alongside maybe the 8 red coin star as well, although with all the restrictions we've set, it's going to be a bit of a hard challenge collecting all these coins, especially since we're not able to fly around and collect all the rings in the sky. While collecting red coins, I notice a really scarily placed red coin that's being guarded by a Bob-Omb. So in order to collect this, we have to make some very precise movements in order to not be seen by this Bob-Omb on our way in and on our way out. As I alluded to earlier, a lot of coins in this level happen to be contained within rings in the sky. So I decided to try collect as many of these coins as possible. After spending a few minutes trying to collect as many coins as I can from the floating island, I decided to try get a higher vantage point to fly from by heading over to where the Bomb King is located and flying from there. After deciding I've had enough of flying around, I head to the last area of interest on the map, namely these 4 poles and a box containing some coins. Breaking this box reveals 3 coins, and we can run around each one of these posts for 5 coins each. In combination with the 2 red coins that can be found in this area, this nets us a total of 27 extra coins. After collecting the last lot of 5 coins from this last post, I realize I have a problem, as I only have 96 coins at the moment, which means we are 4 coins short of actually collecting the 100 coin star. So I'm gonna have to look around this level and try to find some more coins. After running around for a while, I do notice that I missed 1 red coin, which will give us another 2 to our counter, totaling to 98 coins, and it will spawn the red coin star. But this still poses a problem as we still need another 2 coins before we can collect our 100 coin star. I spend a few minutes at this point running around the level in a desperate attempt to try find 2 coins lingering around somewhere, but I quickly realize that the worst has come to pass. We have to go back into the sky and collect our last 2 coins within a ring floating above the level. Thankfully, I was able to collect another 2 coins and then collect the star. However, what happened next absolutely shocked me. Mario falls all the way to the ground after collecting the star, and while he's in an invulnerable state, he happens to land right where the Chain Chomp's gate is. And with the Chain Chomp spawned right where Mario's collecting the star, Mario ends up taking a hit as soon as I leave the menu. I stand for a moment in disbelief, heartbroken. After all the trials and tribulations to get that last coin, I realize I'm gonna have to do this all again. And so I head back into the level and begin collecting coins once more. This time around, I decide to take my time and collect as many coins from the rings in the sky as possible to ensure that I will not have to make a second trip back up here. While collecting red coins, I'm once again faced with this tricky Bob-Omb, but this time disaster strikes and I'm unable to make it past him without the Bob-Omb noticing, meaning that he ignites and then explodes. Since this breaks our no interacting with enemies rule, I exit the level and have to restart the 100 coin collection once again. This time around, I decide to take a slightly different approach and I head straight to the problem Bob-Omb at the very beginning of the stage. This time keeping the wing cap, and I use it to fly back over as to avoid getting caught. From here, I fly back up to the island in the sky and collect as many of the coins in the air as possible, before collecting the rest of the red coins and heading to the final area with the posts and the box once again. With coins to spare, the 100 coin star is finally spawned in a safe location along with the red coin star, and I'm able to exit the level with 28 stars to my name. At this point, I'm racking my brain to try think of stars we can collect somewhere in the levels we've already been, and I decide to head to Whomp's fortress to try collect the 100 coin star. I initially avoided grabbing the star because I was thinking that I would have to rely on fighting enemies to get some of the coins, but upon thinking about it a little bit more closely, I realized I could avoid that entirely, and there were enough extra coins left in the level to collect the 100 coin star without needing to fight any of the enemies. After this, I headed down to the basement to try come up with more ideas. I went over to the shifting sandland wall and just stared at it for a while I tried to think of a last star for for our 30th star that we could collect. After thinking for a while, I remembered that I avoided collecting the 100 coin star in Lethal Lava Land earlier because this shell didn't spawn. However, I thought to myself, maybe it would be worth trying to collect this star without using a shell at all, and so I went into Lethal Lava Land. I started the 100 coin star off by collecting as many coins as I could in the red coin puzzle section, before heading off further. I walked around the stage, jumping about, trying my best to collect as many coins as possible while very narrowly avoiding bullies along the way. As I was about halfway to my goal, I ended up coming to this eyeball enemy in the distance. It's important to note that these enemies are defeated by running around in circles after they notice you, but for the purposes of this challenge, I wanted to make sure that not only did I not defeat any of these enemies or touch them, I also wanted to make sure that I wouldn't get noticed by any of these eyes either. I managed to narrowly avoid getting seen by the eye, but a failed long jump to get to some further coins ended up in Mario perishing, and so I would have to re-enter the level and try again. When I approached the problem coins the second time around, I decided to this time get them out of the way early before heading back to the bullies and retrying the rest of the level. From my memory of this level, I recall that there is about 20 coins lying around on the inside of the volcano, so I wanted to make sure that I had 80 coins before re-entering. However, I somehow only ended up with 79 once I was ready to enter the volcano. I ended up having to get the rest of the coins from a very scarily placed jumping box, and I just barely managed to make this work out somehow. With my minimum requirement of 80 coins met, I decided to head into the volcano and I collected the remaining 20 coins with ease. At this point, I was completely reinvigorated. I had energy again now that we had 30 stars, because this meant that we could access the 30-star door that was blocking us from entering DDD, and also Fire Sea, which would contain the second Bowser battle. After completing these two levels, we would be able to access the upstairs section of the castle and 4 brand new levels. I decided to only collect 2 stars in Dire Dire Docks, those two being the Chests star and the star atop Bowser's submarine that would allow us to enter Fire Sea, because I figured that at any point we can come back here and collect more stars if needed, and I didn't really want to spend all that much time swimming. I wanted to check out what the stages upstairs had in store for us, and so I headed into Fire Sea with 32 stars and went ahead and collected the red coin star in this stage before heading to Bowser. After hastily defeating Bowser, I hurried up to the upstairs section of the stage, opened the door, and headed in to Wet Dry World to collect some quick stars. Thankfully, in Wet Dry World, there aren't a whole lot of enemies around the level, so we are able to collect quite a lot of the stars in this stage without needing to worry about relying on enemies. At least, that's what I thought until it came time to collect the secret star. I bonk on a skeeter at the very beginning of the level and I have to restart. My second attempt goes a little bit better, but these heave-hoes start to get in the way, and before I know it, I get thrown off to the side by a heave-ho, having to go back into the level and restart. I exit the level with 37 stars and make my way to Tiny Huge Island. At this point, going by star count, I've managed to make it just past the halfway point of the challenge. This is assuming, of course, we're going to be collecting 70 stars at the very minimum to make our way to the final Bowser stage, as since we're not allowed to use glitches as part of this challenge, I will not be able to use BLJs, or backwards long jumps as they're called, to make my way up the 70-star stairs, or up the 50-star stairs, to make my way to the end faster than it would otherwise be expected. Upon entering Tiny Huge Island, I make my way carefully around the level, maneuvering around to collect all the secrets before making a very scary and very risky jump to collect the star. I head back inside and quickly make my way up the mountain for a nice second star. After a quick think, I decide to make my way back to Wet Dry World to try collect the 100 coin star, along with potentially the red coin star as well. So I head over there. Unfortunately, disaster strikes and I get struck by an amp, and I take some damage. While it may not seem it at first, these are technically considered enemies in the Super Mario 64 universe, and so because we got hit by an enemy, I decide to restart and go from the beginning of this level again. This time around, I managed to collect a bunch of coins in the first part of the level, and I get ready to make my way to the next part of this level. An interesting thing to note about Wet Dry World is that the level of the water can be changed as you're inside the level. It can also be changed depending on what height you enter the painting at the start at. Since I entered the painting at the lowest point, the water is also as low as it can be. Because of this, it means we can't swim over to this cage in the distance to access the next part of the level. However, all hope is not lost. We can still make the jump across to the cage by carefully jumping and jump diving and then sliding off of this edge on the left-hand side wall. From here, we can swim down, lower the water, and begin collecting our red coins for our red coin star, as well as the remaining coins for the 100 coin star. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. At this point, I remember there's another star we can collect in the second half of the level. We collected the Vanish Cap earlier, which means that we can collect one final star here in Wet Dry World before moving on. With Wet Dry World now completely out of the way, I head back into Tiny Huge Island to collect one more star, that being the red coin star, which can be located in Wiggler's Cave. It's worth noting that the stars that we have to skip in Tiny Huge Island are the Wiggler fight, since we can't fight Wiggler as he counts as an enemy, the Piranha Plant star, and Racing Cooper the Quick. With 43 stars now collected, it is worth noting that before we head into Tall Mountain, there is a toad standing nearby this painting. However, because of our rules about not interacting with NPCs, we cannot collect the star from this toad. Heading into Tall Mountain, I start off the level by collecting the Blast to the Lonely Mushroom star, which despite its name can be collected without the need of a cannon. Instead, we use a precise lineup with a camera angle to get Mario to grab this jumping box to just barely bounce off the wall and bounce all the way onto the edge of the mushroom, then being able to collect the star. The next star I decided to go for was Breathtaking View from Bridge, which is located behind a waterfall near the top of the mountain. I take a route around the side of the mountain to take advantage of a breeze that lets me skip a little bit of climbing, and I make my way over across this rolling log. Here I attempt to go for a very scary and tricky jump that will save some time, but I end up missing it and fall back down. On my second attempt of getting up to the star, I end up just going a little bit too quickly near the rolling log and I just run off the edge. On my third attempt, I try to go for the long jump again and I just barely don't make it to the star and I fall down the waterfall. On my fourth attempt, I long jump off the rolling log and bonk onto this wall and fall all the way down again. Finally, on my fifth try, I make the magic happen and the long jump and wall kick lands us right at the edge of the star. With all the practice of climbing this mountain, I go back into the stage and head to the very top of the mountain to collect the Scale the Mountain star with ease. The next star is located near the beginning of the level, just barely out of reach, which you normally have to reach by climbing the mountain and taking a slide on the inside of the mountain all the way back down to eventually end up back at the star. But with some carefully timed jumps, you can circumnavigate that entire part of the level. I head back into the stage for the final star here, the red coin star, and I take a bit of a tumble here on the mushrooms. I head back in and carefully collect the coins this time without falling, and make my way over to the rest of the red coins while carefully avoiding all the moles around in this level. It's worth noting that we can't collect the Mystery of the Monkey Cage star in this stage because it requires talking to and catching and interacting with the monkey in this level in order to free the star from the cage at the top of the mountain. With 48 stars collected and only 2 stars keeping us from the highest floor of the castle, we head into Snowman's Land. To start off with this level, we can make our way all the way to the top of the scary snowman without the use of a cannon or without needing to rely on the penguin by performing some cool parkour. I quickly speed through the level and grab another 4 stars while avoiding enemies along the way. Most of the stars in these stages don't require enemies for any of the star requirements, thankfully, so that lets us speed through and collect quite a lot. The exceptions in this level for the stars we cannot collect are the Chill with the Bully star, which requires us to defeat a bully, and the 100 coin star, which relies a lot on collecting coins dropped by enemies throughout the level. I exit Snowman's Land with 53 stars, meaning that we're 3 stars over the minimum 50 stars required to get through the 50 star door in order to access the upper level of the castle. I make a miscalculation here and I head over to the Wing Mario Over the Rainbow stage, which is not a stage we can complete in this challenge because it requires talking to a pink Bob-Omb in order to open a cannon to be able to fly around the level. After realizing my mistake, I head back to the upper floor and go to Rainbow Ride instead. Little did I know at this point, this would end up becoming the most challenging stage of this playthrough by far. For what was about to happen, I was not ready. I start the stage off by collecting the Swinging in the Breeze star, which proves to not be all that difficult. I decided that the next star I would go for would be the 100 coin star and combine it with the big house in the sky. I started off the 100 coin star by collecting 5 coins at the bottom portion of this level near this curious fly guy looking on. I would then collect another 5 on the swinging pendulum, and I made my way over to the leftmost side by these falling platforms to try collect a few extra coins, although I ended up getting stuck in a very bizarre situation. I somehow died in the most bizarre way, so I went back in the stage and collected the same coins again. I managed to avoid falling in the same way this time, and I long jumped across over some platforms to grab a couple extra coins by Mr. Goomba, a not so friendly face I was hoping I wouldn't have to see again. I continued up the level and gradually collected more coins along the way. After collecting over 50 coins and getting ready to head to the next part of the level, I jumped down and accidentally set off a nearby Bob-Omb, meaning I would have to retry and start again. Unfortunately, I did have to see Mr. Goomba again. Well, hopefully this is the last time we see him. And after completing the beginning of the level, I fell through a gap in the floor and had to restart. Hello, Mr. Goomba. I ended up getting a very weird angle when I started wall kicking up to get those blue coins, so I ended up not being able to collect them all, which left me in a very precarious position. I didn't know where I was going to get the extra coins from. I tried running around the stage to collect a few extra coins, but I accidentally ended up setting off a Bob-Omb on the cruiser ship, meaning I had to go back and restart the level after having collected 80 out of the 100 coins. I made sure to avoid Mr. Goomba this time. I'm done saying hi to this guy. I was losing my mind at this point. I felt like I was stuck in Rainbow Ride forever. I don't even know what I did. I collected 50 coins and I just dived off the level, a little bit too far to the edge. Well, no matter, it was time to redo the 100 coin star yet again. And I jumped off the level. At this point, I was starting to really lose my mind. I had to refocus. I had to look within myself and find the gamer within that could get myself to the end of this level and collect that 100 coin star once and for all. What? I just killed Mr. Goomba! Oh my goodness, I have to restart this level again! I was gonna lose my mind. I messed up the blue coins again in the exact same way. I was gonna have to go back and retry. And on this attempt, I accidentally squashed Mr. Goomba yet again. At this point, I was really starting to feel the heat and the pressure. I was unable to make progress. I was stuck. But I didn't give up, I stayed determined, and I made my way back into Rainbow Ride to try 100 coin yet again. I did it! I collected the blue coins this time and I didn't make a mistake. I took a moment to catch my breath before making my next move. Okay, I fell down, no big deal, we can make it back. I just gotta make sure I don't accidentally get caught by these Bob-Ombs. Everything was going well, and I felt like I would be close to the end of the star soon, but what was about to happen I could not have been prepared for. I landed on the carpet and I was struck by an enemy from below. I was distraught. It had taken so much effort to get to that point, and my efforts were thwarted by an enemy I didn't even see coming. There was a part of me that felt a little hopeless in this challenge. I was wondering at this point whether or not it would be even possible to continue. Would I ever make it through Rainbow Ride? There were still quite a lot of stars to collect, and I wasn't making any progress in this one. But I picked myself back up, dusted myself off, re-entered the stage, and tried to collect 100 coins once again. I did it! I successfully made it to the carpet. With no enemies in sight, I just had to make it to the end of the carpet ride and to the top of the big house, and I would be free from the star, and I could finally move on. The hardest part was finally over, and I headed back into the stage to collect a few more stars. After collecting the 59th star, I looked around the stage and realized I wouldn't be able to collect this somewhere over the rainbow star, as it required talking to a pink Bob-Omb to open up a cannon, which is not allowed. It was at this point I had a frightening realization. If I was to leave Rainbow Ride with only 59 stars, I wouldn't be able to collect enough stars to actually make it up the 70-star staircase. Tock Clock was the only remaining stage that I had yet to set foot in, and at the very most, even if I collected every single star in Tock Clock, it would only give me another 7 stars, meaning if I collected every single star in the stage, I would only exit with 66 stars, which is 4 stars short of what I would need to make it to the end of the game. I decided to press on and head to Tock Clock anyway to get this stage out of the way. I figured I could collect as many stars as possible here, and then figure out which stars I could collect from the remaining stages to make my way to the end of the game. And just like that, Tock Clock was complete. I had 66 stars, and it was time to find 4 more stars somewhere around the castle that I could collect in order to make my way to the end of the game. I ran around the castle and even considered going to Snowman's Land before I decided to head back to Tall Mountain. I remembered that I hadn't yet collected the 100 coin star, and I thought to myself that maybe I could collect it without needing to rely on any coins dropped by enemies. Well, that was unfortunate. Let's try that again. I ended up collecting 96 coins before I ran out of coins to collect. I did, however, miss quite a few coins when I was on the slide inside of Tall Mountain, so I decided to go back to the slide to try collect some of the coins that I missed. And just like that, we were 1 star closer to victory. After exiting Tall Mountain, I had a eureka moment. I remembered earlier that when I made my way to Dar Docks, I purposefully didn't collect all too many stars because I wanted to explore the later levels. I decided now was the time to go back there and collect the last 3 stars that I needed to be able to make my way to the end. It's worth noting here as well that I opted not to go for the Manta Ring star, as I wanted to avoid collecting any stars that had anything to do with any NPCs, and I considered the Manta Ray to fall under the category of enemy or NPC. With that star out of the picture, I swam straight to the jet stream and with some very precise swims, managed to make my way through the rings and collect the star without needing the metal cap. The next star I decided to collect was the red coin star, so I had some fun riding a few of these poles while listening to some banging tunes throughout this level. And for my final star, I decided to get collect the caps in Dar Docks, which is intended to be collected using both the Vanish Cap and the metal cap in tandem. However, it's easy enough to collect using only the Vanish Cap, as you can just simply swim to the star. And with that, we had 70 stars finally collected. I eagerly made my way up the stairs and to the final section of the castle, heading straight into Bowser's domain. With Bowser finally defeated, that brings our challenge to an end. Thank you everybody for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. It was really fun to make. These kinds of challenge videos are something that I think I want to try more of in the future, so if you have any fun ideas for challenges you might want to see in the future, do leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of this video and also what kind of challenges you'd like to see. It was quite an interesting one to try to play through. There were a lot fewer stars than I expected to be able to get, but it's interesting to see exactly how we could make it through the stage with the restrictions set in place. Mario, what are you doing? We've come so far. No, wait a minute, hold on. No, is he gonna touch Peach? Mario, no!